Yeah, it's
Start?
recording.
Yeah, it's now like.
Okay, so what I'm trying to indicate is that by default, you'll have one package. When you come into the designer screen, it's going to be
Yeah.
a single package that you always point to, and that package by default is Action Catalog. Okay, within Action Catalog, it will contain a list of action names that your user can reuse and drag and drop here. And
Yeah.
action names are config assign, config deploy, scale out, scale in, any other action.
Yeah.
So maybe can we just change like config assign, config deploy? Um,
Okay.
you can put reconfigure, config modify. Puts reconfiguration, yeah.
Reconfiguration.
Or resource, what is it called? Resource assign, resource assign, yes. Okay,
But these
these
are
are examples.
the functions.
Say it again?
This is the function name.
No, these are workflow names as well. If you go back
Okay.
to your example, you will see resource assign, config deploy, config assign. All of those are.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, this is
So these are the reusable. When you drag and drop them here, these are the reusable actions. Okay. So the second point, you should have that indication. If you go out on top on search, right?
yeah.
By default, it should be for the package name of CDS default catalog, okay, or for the package name. And the version you can put 1.0.0. So you can,
So
you want,
sorry to interrupt. Do you mean that the system will have a default action catalog that
yes,
user can use one of the actions available?
yes,
Okay. So we are having a default actions.
right. So you have one package that will have a list of reusable actions,
Okay.
okay,
And
with components. It will not have templates, it will not have scripts, all those things it will not have. But it will have actions and components. And once you drag and drop the action, it will also include the component that's part of it, right?
yeah,
And then you can bind your templates and scripts to that specific action.
yeah. But this is the main options the user will have. But in case of if he had another packages that has a specific actions, we can put them or add them to the list next to the default actions.
He should be searching that package in that version, right in the search. You see on top you have search.
Yes.
You have to. It's not just search of actions of or functions. It has to be a search of a package and version. And when they search for that package and version, you have to bring up the list of actions
I
on the
mean,
bottom. On the
this yeah, the search was meant to look for to look in the list we have in here, not for other elements that we don't have, or maybe not appear in the list.
right, right. But
I
what
mean,
I'm trying to say, the only way today, the way it works is we don't have just a catalog of actions and functions somewhere. The only way you can get it is through a package.
okay,
There's no separate catalog. So what we're saying is that we're going to create one package that will maintain the catalog of all actions. And if you're saying within that catalog, we cannot display all actions, and you want to be able to search that catalog, and you want to use that's fine, okay? But if you were thinking that you want to be able to get actions from other packages, then you need to be able to make sure that you can search for those packages and then list the actions that are available within those packages.
So I have to, just like an importing them from another packages was, but the idea was to make them available for the user, so he can look for them in the list without looking for the package name and get it from there. So I think we can add them both in the list. So we have the default action plus the other actions from the other packages.
For all packages, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, we can make the
if you can make it work, I have no issue, but I think it's a technical issue, not the design issue.
Okay.
Okay, so let's bring it up to Ahmed, okay, and Shaban.
Okay.
So this is good. So if he doesn't want to, if let's say the package that he wants doesn't have the action that he needs, right, and he wants to insert a new one, then he has to insert a custom one.
Custom one, yes.
Right, and that will, when he, okay, so this is good. Can you go to the next screen for a second?
Yeah, the scenario here is following is making the flow of inserting a custom action.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So well, so the first screen is just an empty canvas, and once the user click to insert a custom action, this is the view.
Okay, very good. So the one thing I want to make sure we correct is that you see it shouldn't say action one, right?
Just a name, and as you can see here, the action attributes here we have the name. The action
yes. I absolutely agree. I want to make sure we reflect this in the design so that, because when I see the implementation of what Ahmed did and Shaban, they have action one, action two. It doesn't reflect the action name.
Yeah, but they don't implement the action attributes in this release. So,
Okay. All right. So I just want to, can we just capture that so that it, there's no misconception and they're aware of that?
Yeah. Okay.
So the only thing, if you can make the same changes here in the catalog for which of the actions, and instead of saying, so let's make on the left-hand side.
The left side?
Yeah.
This one? Yeah.
More.
Yeah. This one?
Yeah. Can you do the same set of updates?
Yeah, I'll do this.
Okay. And then instead of calling it action one, when they do insert of a new action, maybe we should be naming them something.
Okay.
Or if you put action one here, then it should reflect action one in the attribute.
This one? Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you change that, you can, it will allow you to change.
Yeah, the tabs will
reflect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only thing, instead of making the tabs horizontally, can we make it? Actually, can we make it because the way you have it right now is the tabs are going across, right?
But I have, as you can see here, we have an arrow to slide between the actions, and this was one of my questions. Are we limiting the action number?
No, there's no limit. So what I wanted to see, is there a way we can display the actions a little bit better?
Yeah. the idea I have is to keep it to remove these arrows, and at the end of this part, I'll add a drop menu that has the list of all actions we have.
Yeah,
So
I think that might be. I think that might be better.
Yeah.
Then they can select which action they want to look
Yeah,
at, right?
to go them directly. So we'll have uh, more than one of the actions as long as we have the space in here.
Yeah, I think that could be better. Okay, so that was my main feedback on that portion.
Okay.
So, all right, continue, Sarah.
Okay. So the main idea of this is design to include all the elements we have for the action. We have the workflow and the templates, and in my scenario, it's just a little bit different from the one you made. Your scenario was to first insert the components, and next we can have we will arrange the steps for the workflow of these components. But my idea was to create the steps first, and once I created the steps, so we have the components, so I don't have to. It will be automatically inserted in this view with the components that that has a connection between the main components. I mean that you can look at my design. So I think we can go to the
Yeah,
flow.
we can walk through it. I think I understood this concept. The only thing I wanted to understand is how do you add your components here? So when you click success flow, what do you do then?
Okay. So the main part after the user inserted a custom action. So we are having the starting point here. The start is and it's already selected, and user can have can choose from the flows he wanted to add. So
So are you saying the user does a drag and drop of the functions into Canvas?
This will be after choosing the flow type he will need to add.
So first he chooses the flow type and then he does drag and drop?
Yeah. So we are defining the flow first.
Okay.
Okay. So as long as I see some examples that user may have, maybe it's not just about the CDS. I mean, and in any other application that is making a flow, the user may have a success, only one success flow, or maybe from the beginning he can add a success and failure flow from the beginning, or maybe you have like the one we have in our example. Maybe from the starting, we have here two imperative flows. Like you can see that we have from the beginning, we are running this component and that component at the same time. So we have multiple types of flow from the beginning. So I mean, so to give
So
him
let's
the
say
option,
if he does, let's say success flow first and drags a function, can he then do success flow again for that function?
Yes.
So it can be a parallel flow?
Yeah.
Okay. So as long as he selects start first and then he does on success, right?
So it will be automatically selected as long as
Okay. It's automatically selected. So then he clicks that success, he drags the component.
I think in this part we may remove the yeah, maybe we can keep it as long as maybe he wants to start adding the failure flow first and then adding the success flow, or maybe he have the multiple options to add maybe the success the starting is defining the success flow. We have one success flow, or maybe he can add multiple flows, multiple success flows at the same time at the beginning of the workflow. So I mean, let's take the next screen to make it more clear. So he chooses from the start to add a success flow.
Yeah.
And this is one. And again, he may add another one success. So it will be imperative workflow here. So he can get back to the start and just selecting the success flow, and another component will be in the same level as a success flow.
Right. So can you have the same screen and just maybe point to start itself? You know what I'm saying?
No.
What I'm trying to say is that don't, right now you're pointing to the component, right?
Yeah.
Can you not point, can have the same view, but point to start with adding the component?
But we already have it in here.
Right, so this is pointing to start. When you added the component, I don't see anything. I want to see a start with adding of a component.
Do you want to keep selecting the starting point after he inserted the first component?
Yes.
But we are talking about steps. So if I finish the first step, I should be active on the next step.
Right. So, but we're saying that if you move one function, it doesn't mean you're done with start. You might have another function that's
No,
on
he
success.
can go back to and select the start point, and these options are showing when we select the point we wanted to create a flow.
Right.
So if he in that case, if he wanted to add another success flow, he will go back and select the start, and the menu will appear too. And
Exactly. I want to see that. Can you show that view
yeah,
where?
so you wanted to indicate the next the other scenario that we are adding
Yes.
a multiple success flow.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So it's clear.
Yeah. Okay. I think it will be maybe let's create the prototype uh, at this one, and maybe in this action he can go back to select the start, so he knows that he can do the action again by selecting
Yeah,
the other.
that no issue. You can do that. I just want to make sure we indicate we have a visibility to that in this
Yeah.
prototype,
Yeah. Okay.
so we can explain it to the teams.
Yes. And as you can see, the ending point does not appear unless we have one component.
Unless we have what?
One component
Oh, okay.
added.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So from the next one, as you can see here, we once he select the component, so we have the function attributes here.
Mm-hmm.
As long as this is what the current selected one. And
Okay.
again, this is automatically appear when the component or the step is
When you
selected.
select the component. Okay, I think this
And
is fine. The only,
yeah,
can you
and
clarify what is the on success, on failure? What was the other one?
this one,
Yeah.
yeah, we have the scenario about it here. Yeah, I don't have it. Okay. So in case the user wanted to have a success and failure stage steps together, So once he selected the component, or maybe from the beginning he wanted to add a success and failure flow, just by clicking this one, he will have two arrows, one for the success status and one for the failure status, and he will need to add two components for each of the status.
So when you click on the arrow, is there like a green type of arrow that will be available where you can drag the component to the green arrow? Is that what we're doing? And if you click on the third one, you'll get a green and a what do you call it? And a red arrow.
Failure status. We have here we indicating the failure status as long we discuss only the failure status, but in case we add this we choose this flow, the arrows will have this icon, the failure icon, and another one with the success icon.
Okay, so the arrows are like what I want to say is that when you click on the green, the red, or the green and red,
yes,
you will create arrows, right, without any attachments. And then you would move the components, and those components would either attach to the green arrow or the red arrow.
Yes.
Okay.
As long as I'm dragging it to what arrows of we have.
Can you also capture that in the start? Can you, like in the first one, right? Can we have a view where it says start and just green arrow without any drag and drop?
I don't get it.
If you go to your first one, let's go back to the first step, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You clicked on the on success. On success should create a green arrow, right?
Okay. So I indicate that our main flow is a success story, or maybe a success flow, and we have the exception for only the failure status. So I'm indicating that the failure status will be indicated by this icon, the red one. This is one.
Yeah, no.
So you wanted to add an indicator too for the success flow?
Yeah, this is fine. All I'm trying to say is that when you click on the green or the red, you should create like an arrow, right?
Yeah.
Can I see just that scenario? What happens when you click on the on success or on failure without doing drag and drop?
Okay. Yeah. I will add an empty one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a clear indication saying that, oh, we are creating the arrow, then you can take your component and fulfill it into that arrow, right? It's like dragging a box to that arrow of green or to the red, or to the green and red.
The thing is, I need to configure what will be happening to the end step. So I have an empty space or an empty flow before I add the component.
Okay.
To the end, I mean, if the one you mentioned here that okay, let me think about it. That I am selecting the start and selecting maybe a success or whatever flow I wanted to add. And before I insert the component.
I mean, you can have an empty component that points to end, right? All you're doing is completing that on success by saying which component you're putting there, right?
I mean, in case this is one is more clear, as long as the end does not appear unless I am adding this component. But in case
I can even say that you can have an empty box, right? The component is not added, but you can have an end of empty to that empty component to end.
So when I'm pointing the arrows, do you want to add another empty box and the user will drag and drop the component to the empty box?
Right, but you need to make sure that you indicate it's a green arrow, right, or a red arrow.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay.
you're inserting once I choose the flow, there will be an arrow and an empty box, maybe a gray empty box, and the user will drag and drop the component to this empty box.
Yep, but make sure you indicate the red and the green so he knows what's on success, on failure. Yeah, that's good. So I have, okay, anything else you wanted to point out in this design for steps?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is the template, right? So this one I was a little bit also not sure, like you will, how do you indicate the, if the execute is netconf or restconf?
Is what?
How do you indicate that your execute component is restconf or netconf?
So this is to indicate that it has the execute has a requirement of a capability of netconf and restconf.
Yes. How do you know what execute has?
So this is the one that we are pointing to. As you can see, I mentioned here the netconf and restconf.
Right. So what is execute using?
Okay. I think we have both.
No, so netconf device can have both netconf and restconf, right? Execute has to choose one. It's either netconf or restconf.
Okay, I see. So, do you mean that netconf may have two capabilities and they are supporting multiple components? So,
yes,
like the example you are mentioning here, that execute may have maybe the restconf only, and maybe in our case, so we don't have to show the netconf, or maybe if there is another component that is depending on or require the netconf, so I'll have to point to the exact capability.
Exactly. So if you go back to my design, right?
Yes.
So what we try to indicate here is that the binding happens between execute and the capability. Right? Capability. That's where the binding is happening. So you want to make sure you indicate that in within the execute component, what is the requirement? We need to see the requirement and we need to see the capability.
The thing that I thought that the execute will require the both of the
No.
capabilities. So
execute is one thing. It will either be, so execute has a requirement, and that requirement is fulfilled by the capability of netconf device, either using netconf or restconf.
So I think our pointer should go directly to the capability name, not for the component name.
Yes. So how do you do that? So you want to put restconf and netconf as maybe not inside the box, but as, do you think it's better to put it like what I designed it? If you go back to the screen for a second, do you see how we have it kind of outside of the component? What the requirement capability? Is there a way we can do that?
Okay, but my indicator here was for the type of the relationship, not the capability itself, the capability name. So I have to add it to maybe yes, outside of the component box, and indicate the capability name.
Okay.
And keep the errors like this one. Let's go
So you're right. We have to capture it connects to, and then it also capture the capability, right?
So the thing is, we limited with number of capabilities inside one component. I mean, do we have a validation that the component should not exceed maybe 2 or 3 capabilities?
We don't have any validation like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But
So I don't want to make this too complex, but if we can somehow say that execute has a capability and netconf has a requirement, and that's a binding there, that's good.
But I
And
have to
then,
indicate what capabilities that execute is depending on it.
right.
Okay,
So
that's why I'm asking about if we have.
so if you go, hold on, go back to my, again, go back to what I had, right? Go all the way up, the first one.
Yes.
So if you look here, requirement, the execute has a netconf connectivity, which has a capability of netconf and node of VNF netconf device, and the relationship of connects to. So it's telling you the relationship is connects to, right? And it's also telling you the capability is netconf, okay? And it's telling you the node.
Okay. But
so what I'm trying to say is that it's giving you the relationship, and it's giving you what capability it can support for that node.
But you are mentioning here the full information of the connection. But
Yes.
in our case, we don't show that much of information.
Right, and that's what I think we should show it. Right, we should show the what are the capabilities, and we should show what are the relationship.
Okay. I'll think about it on how to make that clear on the screen.
Because the whole point of number 2 was to say that execute node has what type of requirements, and then it has a relationship to the VNF netconf device, and there it can connect using it. It has a relationship of a connects to model, right? You can have other relationship, but it's trying to connect to it. So I want to.
But in that case, we indicate that the first one, the executor one, required 2 capabilities from the other. Sorry, the verses of what I wanted to say. I mean that this node required from that node these two capabilities.
It supports those 2 capabilities. Yes.
Yes, so that's why I put it in there. But the thing that you're mentioning that we may have this component may have other capabilities that multiple components are depending on different
If you know what I can
capabilities.
do, I can do something a little bit more simpler. Maybe I can say that my node can only support that netconf execute node, right? Let's say it only supports netconf. It won't support restconf. And VNF netconf device only supports netconf. So it'll be like 1-to-1. Okay, so if let's go back. If we say if that's the assumption we're making, right?
But you are simplifying it.
Yes, I'm gonna simplify it.
Use cases may have it more complicated, and I think we need to cover it now.
You're saying cover the complicated use case or do simplification?
Yes, no. I mean, you wanted to simplify it by making the component dependent on only one capability. But in our case, or maybe your cases may have multiple capabilities in one component, that are other components are depending on each one of them separately.
Right. So if it's too complicated to support selection of multiple capabilities to different relationships, right? Then I can try to simplify what is the definition of a component and a node.
Do you want it to simplify it in the design, or do you want it to simplify it in the scenario you are doing?
Simplify the actual node definition of what can the node support. So we can say that if you want an execute with restconf, you can create a different execute restconf. Not execute netconf, but execute restconf. So the user selects execute restconf that will bring in execute restconf device, okay? And
I don't get this point.
Okay.
You want to split them into components?
Yes.
But this is more complicated. I think we need to merge it in one component.
You want to support the merge? Okay,
yes.
That's fine. That's fine.
That's why I'm thinking of the complicated scenario. I think we need to support it now, not.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Around it. Yeah. So my scenario should cover that one component that has multiple capabilities that can support multiple other components at the same time.
Right. So what happens is that the relationship, right? It's a connects to relationship, but the only other thing that you need to know is that relationship is using what capabilities? Is it using netconf or restconf? That's the only thing that you need the user to allow the user to bind to.
Yes. But I have another question. Can the restconf be can it support multiple components? I mean, maybe the NF account collection and the execute maybe required the restconf at the same time?
Yes, that could happen.
Okay. Okay, good.
Right, you might have execute 1, execute 2, execute 3, and they all need netconf device.
No, I mean inside the netconf device, maybe the execute 1 and execute 2 are required to have the capability of restconf.
Say that again. I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Let's say it again. In our case, we are indicating here that execute is required maybe the restconf in the netconf device. Okay. And what I'm asking if there are any other scenario that may mention that the NF account collection may have the same capabilities of the restconf?
Yes. So it's not NF account collection, but you have another node that needs the capability of restconf, right?
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Yes, that's supported. That needs to be supported.
So our case is that maybe multiple components can require a specific one capability at the same time, and the other scenario is that the one component may have, like the netconf device may have multiple capabilities that are supporting multiple components. The execute and the NF account, maybe each one is required one of the capabilities inside the netconf device.
Yes.
So we have many relationships. Many capabilities and many components.
We can, yes.
Yeah, okay. And the component that have the capabilities can have multiple capabilities in the same time. But we're only showing the ones that are I mean that the other components is depending on them only. I mean, if the netconf device have the netconf, maybe the capability of netconf, but the netconf is not has no any dependency on it, so we don't show it in our example.
Right.
Okay. We only showing the one that that has a relationship with our other components we have in our action.
Right. That's correct.
Okay.
So in here, you need to also point out what is the relationship. Okay, it's the connects
Yes.
tool. So right now it's not visible.
Yes. Okay. But let me declare that once I created the workflow, all the actions I have in here will appear in the template automatically with the relationship indicator.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't see any issues here. The only thing, just can you clean up that whole action one, so the function name?
Yes.
Okay, that's the main concern I had. I just want to make sure that the team is aware of that.
Yes.
This,
Yeah, sorry, really, I don't want to forget that. I will look the template for the user to use unless he make some changes or add some components in the workflow. So in case we don't have any actions, the workflow, the template is not available to do any work inside it.
of course, yes.
Yes. Okay. So I'll have in our case, in our first case, yes, yeah, I covered it in here. So it's not active yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
So we're okay. So just one more thing. You put something about declarative versus imperative.
Yeah.
Do we need to really state that?
Where did I?
On the left-hand side?
Here
More.
on the right. Yeah.
The other screen. On the left, the first screen, the start.
Oh, this one? Yeah. Okay. No, okay. I need to change it. I only had the success and the imperative flow.
It should be only imperative workflow. We don't have the concept.
I will change it to success flow and failure flow and success and failure flow.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah,
I don't know if it's a good idea, but just wanted to just bring it out there. Do you think it will be worthwhile that we have a little video that kind of says this is how it works?
Yeah, maybe I have. It's not a demo. Maybe at the first using of the designer, there will be a steps to how to use each of the designer elements.
Okay.
Yeah. But this will be only for the first time, not.
Right. For the first time, I was thinking like, should we do this, you know, a little video or something that indicate, or some wizard that indicates how to.
Yeah. The wizard will be for the first time, and maybe we can add the video option and maybe any other in our script so we can use it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything else, Sarah?
I think we are done here with the designer. Yeah.
So just to make sure that I want to come back to the first point, right? The catalog of actions is going to come from the CBA action catalog, and that's the default, okay? You will go back to Ahmed and Shaban to see if there's a way to view all actions from all packages, right?
Yes, I think we may. I will try this, but just an idea to add two tabs inside the action part here. One for the default actions, and the other one is for the other catalogs or maybe packages.
Right. If there's a way to search it, great.
We'll do for all of the elements in that side.
The search is for what?
So I mean this search you can look for a specific action or maybe a function too.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the full list.
Right. So it will filter your actions or functions to whatever you type there, right? But your actions are coming from which package, right? It will come either from a default package or it will come from a custom package, right? So, and that part.
Custom package? Do you mean the other packages?
Other packages. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
By default.
That's why, yeah.
By default, we should have one package that we should, have all this information in. And if the user wants to use a different package where he wants to drag and drop some workflow actions, he can do that, but it requires like a search, okay? So that concept we need to add in here in the design.
Okay. I maybe we don't use the tab idea and just maybe a list here that showing that this one is the default actions, and if you wanted to select from another package, he can select it from this list.
If there is a way where we can say that here are the packages you can select from, like 2 or 3 packages in the list, I'm okay with that, right? But you need to be able to, we need to be able to configure what those packages that we'll be using, right? So it could be a backend thing, which is okay, no issue. But let's discuss it with Ahmed and Shaban to see how this is possible, okay?
Okay. So when can we discuss it with them?
When are they available? I don't see Ahmed on now. So
actually, I'm working from home maybe for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I won't be
Why don't we try it for tomorrow then?
Okay.
Okay, I'll set up the meeting.
Yes, please.
I'll try to do it at 7 a.m. and see if that works. Or even I can do 6:30. Let me do it earlier.
Okay.
No, let me. I think 7 a.m. No, let me do. I'll be in the office tomorrow, so let me do 8 a.m. Yeah. Let me invite Ahmed, Shaban, and Sarah.
Did Tabas discuss with you that we will be not fully dedicated for this project?
Who's not fully dedicated?
All of us.
Okay.
So I think
he didn't mention that.
Yeah, I think he was about to mention this in yesterday's meeting.
Oh, okay, okay.
That I think we're not fully dedicated. I think it will be 50% dedication for all of the members.
That's from starting from when?
Actually, I don't have any clue about that.
Okay, so let's discuss it with Abdel and Ahmed to see what's going on.
Okay.
Okay. So project. Oh. Okay, I sent out the invite for 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, and I'll also send out the recording.
Yes, please. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
See you tomorrow, Chad.